She broke down. I know, I'm so sorry. Not my car.
For 23 years, this car never moved. Not once. After her husband died, she couldn't even bring herself to open the garage door. The Mustang stayed exactly where he left it. Covered in dust, covered in rust, covered in memories. Most people said it was junk. Some even suggested selling it for scrap. But one mechanic saw something nobody else could see. And what happened next would leave an entire room in tears. Because by the end of this story, it wasn't just a car that got restored. Something much bigger came back to life. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about why some things become incredibly valuable while others get thrown away. And here's something I've noticed. The biggest financial mistakes people make aren't always bad investments. Sometimes they're the opportunities, memories, and assets they give up on because they look broken. Today, you're going to see one of the most powerful examples of that I've ever come across. But before we get to the restoration, you need to understand why nobody touched this Mustang for more than 2 decades. Every neighborhood has one. That house, that garage, that thing people stop noticing because it's been there forever. For years, neighbors drove past this garage without giving it a second thought. Inside sat a 1964 Mustang. And not just any Mustang. This was her husband's Mustang. The car he'd spent years restoring, polishing, driving, loving. Every Saturday morning he could be found in that garage, coffee in one hand, tools in the other. To him, the Mustang wasn't transportation. It was freedom. It was pride. It was a piece of himself. Then one day, everything changed. He passed away unexpectedly. And overnight, the Mustang became something completely different. It wasn't a hobby anymore. It became a reminder, a painful one. So she closed the garage and left the car exactly where it was. What nobody realized was that time was quietly creating a problem. And when a mechanic finally opened the hood years later, she discovered something that nearly ended the project before it even started. Quick question. Have you ever kept something because throwing it away felt like losing a piece of someone you loved?
I just miss him
Keep
so
that
much.
thought in mind,
We're here for
because
you.
that's exactly why this story
We
becomes so
love you.
powerful. When the female mechanic first heard about the Mustang, she expected the usual: flat tires, dead battery, rust,
So, I was thinking about
maybe
what
a
you said.
seized engine.
Oh yeah? What about
What
it?
she
I
found
think you're
was
onto
much
something.
worse.
Really?
Years of moisture had eaten away at critical components. Parts were missing, others had completely failed. At first glance, restoring the car looked financially ridiculous. And this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Because after
We
researching
should
the
take the
vehicle,
car out. That
she
thing,
discovered
it barely
something
runs.
shocking.
Come on, it'll be
If
fun.
restored correctly, this forgotten Mustang could be worth more than many brand new luxury vehicles. But that wasn't the reason she continued. The real reason had nothing to do with money. And you'll understand why when you see the widow's reaction later. Most restoration projects fail for one simple reason. People underestimate how hard the middle becomes. The beginning is exciting, the ending is rewarding. The middle is brutal, and that's exactly where this project nearly died. Weeks turned into months. Bills piled up. Unexpected problems kept appearing. Every time one issue was solved, another one emerged. Then came the discovery that nearly ended everything. One critical component was so damaged that replacing it would cost thousands of dollars. For a moment, it looked over, the kind of moment where most people walk away. But the mechanic didn't, because she had already realized something most people hadn't. This Mustang wasn't really about a Mustang anymore. Here's something crazy. Most people think value comes from what something is. In reality, value often comes from what something means. And that's exactly what made this project different. Slowly, the impossible started becoming possible. The frame came back to life. The suspension returned. The engine began taking shape, piece by piece, week after week, month after month, until eventually the rusted shell disappeared. And something extraordinary emerged. For the first time in decades, the Mustang looked exactly the way her husband remembered it. But nobody was prepared for what would happen next. Finally, the day arrived. The widow was invited to see the completed restoration. She thought she was coming to look at an old car. She wasn't. As the cover came off, time seemed to stop. Suddenly, she wasn't seeing rust. She wasn't seeing metal. She wasn't seeing an engine. She was seeing
This
memories.
one was your father when he was young. He looks
She
so
was
different. I
seeing
never
road
knew that.
trips, weekend drives, conversations, laughs, moments she thought were gone forever. And then she broke down crying. Not because the Mustang was beautiful, not because it was valuable, but because for one brief moment, it felt like her husband had returned. Everyone in the room felt it. Even the mechanic, even the people recording. Nobody expected the emotional weight of that moment. And here's what most people don't realize. This story isn't actually about a Mustang. It's about value. The kind of value that never appears on a price tag. The kind that can't be measured by market prices. The kind that survives decades. Because the most valuable things in life often look worthless from the outside. Old cars, old photographs, old houses, relationships, dreams, even people. Sometimes the greatest mistake isn't throwing away something valuable.
Hey, want to
It's
take the
failing to
Mustang for a
recognize
spin?
its value
Yeah,
before
let's
it's
go.
gone.
All right.
The restored Mustang was worth thousands of dollars. But that's not what mattered most. What mattered was giving someone a piece of their life back. A memory, a connection, a reminder that some things are worth saving, even when everyone else says they aren't. And maybe that's the lesson. Not just for classic cars, but for all of us, because sometimes what looks broken is actually priceless.